our parliamentarian.
Hello, my name is Lisa Pinnell, and I'm the parliamentarian.
And we also have our deputy speaker and recording secretary.
Hi everyone, I'm Sierra. I'm the Deputy Speaker and the Recording Secretary.
Okay, so a few housekeeping rules before we begin today. So we do have several members joining from Zoom. And so how this will work with the majority of everyone being in person is we will have everyone who wishes to speak when there are opportunities for debate or to ask questions, we will kindly ask for you to form a line at the microphone on the floor. And yeah, we will. Also, if you require translation services, we do have our translation manager present, and she will be sitting by the microphone too, so if you need translation from English to French or French to English, please ask her to assist you. And yeah, we will begin. Okay, so the first item of business is the adoption of the standing rules. The standing rules have been distributed. And at this time, are there any additions or amendments to the standing rules that anyone would wish to request? And also, we will quickly explain the voting system. So we have these placards that have been distributed. Each of you in person should have one, and everyone online should have one too. And so as this is a consultative forum, this is not a general assembly because we have not met the quorum of 350 people. The way that a vote will happen is if you are on Zoom, we will encourage you to react with a reaction instead of a proper vote. And in person, we will ask you to raise your placard if you are in favor when we call for votes in favor, and when we call for votes against, raise your placard for against if you're against the motion. And yeah, yeah, we will be beginning with the standing rules. So, all those in favor of adopting the standing rules for this consultative forum, please raise your voting placards. Okay. The standing rules clearly pass. And now we will move on to the agenda, which has been distributed. At this point in time, are there any final additions to the agenda or amendments to the agenda? Okay, seeing that there are none. All those in favor of the adoption of the agenda? Okay. This also passes. The agenda is so adopted. Okay, moving on to our next piece of business. The minutes of the previous General Assembly, yes. These minutes have been distributed. Are there any corrections to the minutes at this time that anyone would wish to make? Okay. Seeing that there are none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please raise your placard. This passes too. The minutes are so approved. And at this time, we will begin our question period. So, a bit about the question period. I will be timing, and the standard response time will be 1 minute. So when we reach 10 seconds, I will be tapping once with my gavel. And once your time has elapsed, I will be kind as possible and try and allow you to finish your sentence. However, if you keep going past your time, then I will bang the gavel until you stop. And yeah, okay, so at this point, are there any questions? And these questions will be directed to me and through me to, for example, the SMU executives who are present. Okay. If you are online or in person, feel free to queue up at the microphone or raise your hand if you're on Zoom. Okay, if there are no questions, then we will move on to the next piece of business, which is report from the Board of Directors. And at this time, I will call up our president to give the report from the Board of Directors.
All right. Can you put the report up? Sorry. It says report of the board of directors. Okay. Could you mention that because that could you check if you have one? Because if it's on the agenda, I would hope that there's one. Yes, that would be your call.
Okay, we're going to call a quick recess. We're sorting out some technical issues on our end. Which will be reports from executives. We will be beginning with the Vice President Internal.
Thank you, Lisa. All right. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Perfect. So this is the VP Internal Affairs report to the General Assembly, October 2nd, 2023. So I'm just going to do a quick overview of my portfolio. So the VP Internal Affairs is in charge of first year affairs, communications, interfaculty relations, event planning, and alumni affairs. And, from the Constitution of the SSMU, the Vice President Internal Affairs shall exercise the following powers and perform the following duties: to engage in regular consultation with the Society's members, to coordinate the Society's relations with faculty, school, and other student associations, and to facilitate communication among these groups, to coordinate events, programming, and services for first-year students, to manage the programming of activities and events of the Society, and to manage the Society's communications and student engagement strategy. So, so for this year, some areas of focus were diversifying the spin programming, and we have done so by doing some events at Gertz for the first time as part of spin, and that was our back to school event, and we'll continue to do so. First year council is also something the internal affairs portfolio prioritizes every year. The listserv, social media revamp, and tighter faculty relationships and increased collaboration, and I'll go into details over all of those. So first year affairs. So the FIC first year council elections are happening right now, and the results should be announced on Friday. So first year, so first year council, we plan, they plan various events by first years for first years. And this year, we also want to collaborate more with other first year oriented organizations on campus. Next slide, please. So communications, as I've said, the internal affairs portfolio is responsible for the listserv and social media. The SMU handbook was published, and we published 6,000 copies over the summer, and we ran out in 2 weeks. It was a huge success, as usual. The SMU flyers we make, we print every year, were now digital this year to meet our sustainability goals. And there is a higher focus on social media and increasing online reach by doing Instagram content, etc. In terms of events, the VP internal portfolio is in charge of SPIN, the Student Society Programming Network. We did the back to school event on September 19th. We also have Halloween events planned for October 13th and the 26th. We also held Frosh crash pads and helped with some other events during Frosh. So what's new this year? We have started rolling out post-event feedback forms after our events. And after the back to school event, the post-event feedback form was sent and about 10% of attendees replied. So we want to keep engaging in more consultations with the students. And for SPIN, this year we're looking for a wider range of students from ideally all of the faculties to better represent all of them. Interfaculty relationships. So we want to increase SMU and faculty relationships and fixed bonds. I've met with faculty associations and MCSS, and I plan to meet with all of them. This year I started doing traveling office hours, where I do my office hours in different faculty offices every day to ensure SMU is more accessible and strengthening ties between faculties and SMU. So far, MUS and AUS has confirmed, and I have done my first traveling office hours today at the MUS office. And EUS is looking favorably, but has not given their official confirmation. I will also be reaching out to the SUS and the MUSA. I'm also in charge of alumni affairs. For that, I've reached out to the MAA, the McGill Alumni Association, and I sit on MASAC. I also sit on the Security Board of Directors, and on the Senate, I was appointed to the Senate Committee on Physical Development and Senate Committee on Student Services. Yeah. Any and all questions, please let me know.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me if I speak like this? Okay. This is a really awkward setting. It's very quiet in here in a big room, but okay. Yeah, this is my report. I'm going to try to blast through it really quickly to not bore you too much. First of all, who am I? My name is Liam. I like to be outside and do things. This is yep, I work here now, so you can skip through this. This is dumb. So my responsibilities are quite varied. Like, it's all external affairs, so external to the student society and working with other student societies. So under that, I've met with a lot of different external student unions, such as the one from University of Laval, Postgraduate Student Society, Concordia Student Union. I've also met with some internal ones as well to discuss what their political plans might be for the year. And there are updates there, but for the sake of time, I will spare you. And I also sit on the board of directors for the Undergraduates of Canadian Research Intensive Universities. That is a group of 15 student unions that are advocating for better student conditions at the federal level. And so our three advocacy priorities this year are going to be affordable housing, mental health, and student financial aid. So we'll do a lobby week in, I think it's January, and we'll go and meet with a bunch of different MPs in Ottawa, and we'll try to get some things done for our student union and our students, excuse me. Yeah. Community affairs, we work a lot with community groups in Milton Park and across the city to try and sort of improve relations between the student body and the city. Sorry, yeah, could you stay there? The main piece of news I'll share with you, which is actually pretty big, is that our student-funded residence building is going to be available or projected to be finished and move-in date of fall 2026. If you don't know what this is, I didn't know either for the longest time. Essentially, we invested $1.5 million through a fee called the SSMU util fee, which is something that you have seen on your receipt from the university. And over time, we're investing 1.5, and then other solidarity groups have invested large amounts of money. It's a $40 million project. And finally, the city has given their approval, fast-track the project because it's for like a social good, and they've also invested $6 million in it, and that announcement was made last Wednesday. So it'll be at the corner of Ontario and Saint Laurent, right downtown, somewhere where students can live, and it'll be always a certain percentage below market rate, so affordable and funded completely by students and the solidarity economy, which is pretty darn epic. Yeah. In terms of political campaigns, we'll talk more. There are two speaking points coming up later. However, in general, we provide small amounts of funding from our Office of External Affairs directly to groups working in and around our community that are sort of in line with our policies. So that could be sort of solidarity across borders, as listed here, or the Defund the Police campaign, which has a festival that they host, which is a great thing to attend if you want to, but it'll be next year. And there are also campaigns sort of internal to our campus, like Divest McGill, which you've definitely probably heard of, or Let's Eat McGill, which was sort of, they got famous on their food prices memes last semester. And so I'll talk a bit more about those a little bit later in the assembly. And then lastly, for union affairs, part of our mandate is also to work with the different labor unions on campus. There are several. AGSAM, you might have heard about, is the TA union, and they have a large campaign for what they're calling like a huge raise or no more free hours going this year. And so this isn't something we've acted on yet, but we're looking to see how we can like improve our ties with them and work towards like a better relationship with the unions on campus and hopefully support their campaign. Is there anything else? Oh, other projects. Quite a few other things going on. We have been sort of working alongside or with the Ganastensra or Mohawk Mothers. You have probably heard of the sort of, I don't want to call it an issue, but the ongoing story developing on the sort of the old site of the Royal Vic Hospital. And so one thing we're going to be planning to do is host critical campus tours, which will sort of tell an alternative story to McGill's history, this land, and the people who have contributed and owned parts of it. And then an event coming up that we're hosting in this very room on October 26th will be Community Engagement Day. Good place to learn about different volunteering opportunities if you're interested in that. And we'll also be hosting or publicizing and letting you know about a lot more events soon. So I would invite you to check out our Instagram. You can go to the next page. Oh, sorry. Anyways, you can go to our Instagram or our website. But yeah, these are my main goals for 2023 and 2024 is to support more organizing internally and externally to the university. Host more sort of educational and event sort of engagement style events. I think that's really important for us to sort of build a better network of people that want to work on stuff. And lastly, to improve resource accessibility for those that are interested in bringing their campaign forward and making sure that that is something that is not, making sure we're not a barrier, but an accelerator, a catalyst for that instead. So yeah, you can go to the next page. 2 QR codes, one for the Instagram, one for the website. Scan both, neither, one of them. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Hasanatu. I'm this year's Vice President Operations and Sustainability, and this is my report. Okay, so just an overview of what I'll be covering today. So just what my portfolio consists of. There'll be a topic on building, operations, sustainability, and then miscellaneous things that I've been involved in. That does not look very cute. It was nicer when I submitted it, I think. So part of the responsibilities of within my office is to manage the use of the university center. So that involves coordinating physical development of the UC, but also space allocation. I also oversee the management of society's business operations. That's primarily like our food and beverage operations, rentals and space bookings, and mini courses. I represent the members, like the students, on university bodies in charge of space and operational planning. So that's like Senate committees, any other committees really. And I operationalize the society's commitment to environmental sustainability and physical accessibility, or work to at least. So first, we'll discuss building. So that's the university center, the space that we're currently in. Over the summer, a lot of this has looked like space management, and that relates to the student group space agreements point that I've put there. So we have a number of groups that are on the 4th floor. We give them the space. And I think there are spaces as well downstairs that we also give. And so we just manage those spaces, make sure that they're like accessible and like used by the student groups for their purposes. We've recently conducted an accessibility audit of the building, where we're working towards determining the feasibility of certain changes and tasks within that. And then obviously there's going to be a certain portion of like advocacy towards the university because it is their building. Currently working on a management agreement with the university, and to come, which I'm really excited about, and is also part of the accessibility audit, is just gender neutral bathrooms throughout the university center. So not just on the 2nd and 4th floor, but just all throughout. Next is GERTS. So GERTS is one of the food and beverage operations that I just mentioned. It's been really fun working with them this summer. So far we have new branding guidelines for both the bar and the cafe. So if you check out the Instagram, check out the cafe, it's looking great. If you head downstairs as well, you see there's new signage. The new signage comes with the new menu. For those of you that are not aware, every student gets a 20% discount, and then there's 40% for happy hours. You get like really cheap food, really cheap deals overall. And the one thing to highlight here would be the GERTS Ambassador program that we're currently working on. So we just like to have like students who are involved in GERTS, promoting GERTS, getting student like consultation and feedback on what GERTS is offering. So that's to come soon. So if you're interested, like please get yourself involved. And to come is a mocktail menu, just to be more inclusive with our drinks menu as well. This is the menu. I didn't think it would look this dramatic, but a lot of stuff, a lot of exciting things. So please go check it out and like see what your favorite new item might be, and you can get lunch, breakfast, whatever it is. I didn't include the bar menu, but there's also food at the bar now. Okay, next thing is events and mini courses. So that involves room bookings, all of the rentals, so like any equipment, any furniture, anything, this microphone. So a lot of my summer is like reviewing event contracts. We've revised both the cost of room rentals as well as the equipment that we rent. We have an agreement with La Femme du Marché, who you might have seen when you were walking in today. And so they're just using that space to showcase their items. Imaginus was also here. That's also part of the room rentals. So the poster sale that a lot of people were super excited about. So I hope you guys were able to attend. And we're hoping to make it like a yearly thing. And then mini courses. So we have 11 for this fall. Courses are starting October 16th. And you can register as a student if you're not a student or you graduated, like extra $10. They're super easy like to register for. Yeah, I think they're really fun. I think we have interesting ones. If you go to the next slide, we have just all the ones that are offered. So pole dancing and ASL like full, but everything else is open. So feel free to sign up for any one of them. And then lastly, not lastly, well, sustainability is next. So we've just newly hired a sustainability commissioner. This person's gonna be working on like budgeting an action plan for the year because there's a fee that's collected for this. Also just recently hired a daycare coordinator for Campus Crops, and there's another like that's been working with the volunteers. We've had a little bit of rebranding there, so that's been fun. MOS is the McGill Office of Sustainability, so I've just been meeting, working with them. We're developing sustainable consumption and disposable committee as part of like the consultation process for the climate and sustainability strategy plan. And then SPF fund, you guys pay towards it, so please apply. And then just a little bit more, also oversee right now the IT stuff at SMU, a bit of finance stuff, bit of legal stuff, and then these are the McGill committees that I have sat on or currently sit on. The ones that are most relevant to my portfolio, the Senate Committee for Physical Development, and then University Health and Safety Committee. And that's it for me. So if you have any questions, feel free to just send me an email. Thank you.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Lalia. You can go to the next slide. Oh, yeah. My name is Lalia. I'm Vice President University Affairs for this year. And basically, University Affairs is advocating for students through policy work and representation. So there are a lot of different committees at university on important governing bodies that make decisions for students. And it's important that we have actually students sitting on them to voice our opinions. Yeah, you can switch. So it looks a little bit like that. We have the University Senate and its committees. We have our SMU student senators who sit on the University Senate, who do also work on, they sometimes during the year do policy research, and they advocate for students regarding anything that's happening. We also have our own SMU Senate meetings weekly, where we discuss the actual University Senate's happenings and other things of the sort. For myself, I'm sitting on the Committee of Enrollment and Student Affairs and other committees for the Senate. And we also have the McGill administration meetings that we do with the president, where we advocate for a student any issue that's currently happening on campus. So for example, the main topics that we speak about with the administration right now is the sense of community on campus and food insecurity. You can switch. So also under research and advocacy, University Affairs works with our Indigenous Affairs Commissioner. We also have the Know Your Rights campaign that we're trying to revamp this year with the Legal Information Clinic. So anything regarding what's happening with your classes, if you have different complaints or any academic little issues, we are trying to have information that's accessible, and we also work with the Legal Information Clinic to provide information on housing and other personal issues of the sort. We also do general research and policy work. Last year we produced a report for the new student accessibility. I mean, it's not new, it was previously known as the OSD, but the Student Accessibility and Achievement Office, we produced a report on its actual impacts on students. Yeah, I also work with the Indigenous Affairs Commissioner for the Indigenous Affairs Committee, where we meet monthly and we discuss issues that affect Indigenous students on campus. We work in collaboration with the First Peoples House of McGill to bring forth any resolution of issues that students are facing. We want to continue this year the parking for Indigenous students. We also do representation to the McGill administration on different topics that are happening or different points of friction between Indigenous communities and the student body or any other party. And to come, we are working on collaboration with external affairs on research, notably the critical campus store. So for equity and educational resources, the picture that I put over there is from the Schulich Library that's recently opened. The furniture was funded by the Library Improvement Fund. So if you have any other recommendations to improve the libraries, it's also under University Affairs. We have a Library Improvement Fund commissioner that works on that. And it's sort of the work that we do under policy regarding library improvements. We also have the menstrual health project. We're working on a collaboration with OSVERS, and we work on open education resources, where we provide material for classes and students don't have to pay for them. So in closing, I'm going to talk a little bit about the menstrual health project that we're working on this year in University Affairs. We're trying to increase the amount of pickups. Everything is available on our social medias, on Instagram particularly. We put the calendars, we put any updates that's happening. We are also trying to do some market research on different alternatives of companies that could provide products for students. To come, there's informative videos on social media on how to use the different structures in the university building, and also the different products themselves. We're going to do little tutorials. And we have the refills all over campus. Whenever you see a sticker from the SSMU menstrual health team, that's our menstrual health team who refills the bathrooms. All the products are always free for all the students who menstruate from the McGill community. So yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Hi everyone. I will be presenting the report of the Vice President Student Life because I am the Vice President Student Life. I'll wait for a second for it to load. I also have blue and yellow slides, so when it comes to those, you will not be able to see anything that's written on them, but these reports will be posted afterwards, and I'll try and read out what I can. But yeah, title slide. This is me. I'm Nadia. I'm a U3 microbiology and immunology student. Yeah, I think I don't know why they're all doing this, but I put down the main 3 parts of my portfolio, which is student groups, family care, and mental health. There's a larger breakdown on the website if you want to see exactly what all of those entail, but then I'll be talking about the projects we have right now. No, it's totally fine. I don't think it's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. All right. So student groups, we're going to start with clubs. Basically, there was just a lot of reviewing over the summer, winter 2023 audit results. Listservs continue, bookings continue. Applications are going to open soon, as soon as the clubs committee starts meeting. Review of club funding. The club portal will be launching hopefully next year. It's currently in like an implementation phase with an external company. We're really excited for that because hopefully it's going to centralize things and make it easier for all those forms and all those documents. And we created a club's guidebook this year, which is essentially the club's workshops, but written down in hopefully an easier to follow way, and just so people have something to refer to. And then as always, activities night and clubs workshops. Now for services, a lot of that is also follows the services, but some additional things is just an overview of employee hirings, overview of finances, also a specific services guidebook. And then things we're working on is the fall referendum is coming up, so there's going to be some fee levies for some services, and the services reviews will start soon. Then related to student groups, activities night, biggest event of the year. It went really, really well, I'm happy to say. There was a little bit of a confusion that caused the entrance change on the second day. So if you were caught up in that, I'm sorry. We did the best we can with what we were given in that case. Yeah, we had 360 tablers. It was all in the field house. I think it went super, super well, and I'm looking forward to winter activities night. We also had the club's workshops, another biannual event that happened 2 weekends ago now, and we had a full room. It was a lot of fun. I mean, clubs are required to go, so we forced them there, but it was a full room. And coming up, other events we're looking at, some kind of games night that will happen hopefully mid-November, early to mid-November, and then a winter farmers market that we're partnering with the McGill Farmers Market to hold end of November, beginning of December. Next, this is family care. This is one of the ones you can't read, but basically what it says is that the SSMU daycare nursery are doing super great. We'd love to expand it if we can find the space anywhere, but that's not happening soon, unfortunately. Other initiatives is just we're in talks with PGSS about doing something for family care. It would be like a family care evening, but we're waiting to kind of finalize those details. There's also I forgot the point in the daycare, but we're starting to set up our volunteer program where students can volunteer to go spend time with the kids, just as a socialization exercise for the kids as well. And to come is a family care policy, hopefully. Next is mental health. The mental health committee, a great team of mine, takes care of the majority of the events with this. So for example, there is Mental Illness Awareness Week, which is happening this week. One of the events is actually tomorrow. It's going to be pumpkin smashing as a way to relieve that midterm stress. At the mental health team, there's continued check-ins with a bunch of people at the university, so the Dean of Students, the Wellness Hub, there's a few other committees that meet regularly, there's the Mental Health Roundtable, and then there's Keep Me Safe, which is the online health app, and they're always in contact with us, and they're also looking at a renewal for next year, so that's something that's coming up. And then other initiatives. There was a Get Involved workshop that we held in partnership with Campus Life and Engagement. That one was super cool. It was a bunch of first years coming to figure out how to get involved on campus, and we got reps from most of the other faculty associations. So I think there was really good engagement there. And then Discover McGill, we did also table there. Also huge engagement. First years were coming up to spin the wheel and hopefully find out what SSMU was. But I think we did a good job advertising there. That's all I have for you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. And as always, just send me an email if you have any questions.
Hello. So this is my report. So this is the report of the president. My name is Alex. I'm the president this year. I'm in my last year of a major in religious studies and poli-sci. So I'm happy to be here. I will say these reports get long, they get boring. So I'm happy for you all to be able to endure them. I think they're very important in transferring exactly what we do. And I hope we can put some effort until the next GA to be able to bring more people in and make these things more interactive. But until then, here's my report. I didn't put a picture of myself. I did not realize that was part of the plan. So this slide is missing a picture. But essentially, this is the overview of this report. So we can move on to the next slide. So really what I do as president is a lot of internal governance. So dealing with the functioning within SSMU of the organization. I work on representation and advocacy, mostly in a support role to the other execs, but oftentimes in unofficial and more direct ways to certain McGill administrators. And finally, I assist with the staff at that work at SMU. So these are the roles constitutionally of the presidency. So as president, I'm the chief officer and spokesperson, ensure the long-term integrity, and some of the committees I need to chair. Oh, my presentation's gone. But essentially, if you have any questions on the constitutional part of the presidency, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But I want to make this quick, so we can move on to the next slide. So I think another part that's interesting is the calling of meetings. So for alleged council and the board of directors, the presidency can call those meetings in case of urgent need. And we can move back down. Oh, the board of governors is the other important part, actually. So I sit on the board of governors. It's a very interesting thing to sit on the board of governors because it is quite different from any other McGill body. I'd be happy to talk to you about the things I've seen in public session of the board of governors or around a drink sometime if you'd like. We can move down. So in terms of McGill representation, I also sit on a few committees, but the three big parts of representation that I do are the Senate, the Board of Governors, as I said, and then just general McGill admin representation. I put in a few of the committees that I sit on. So I sit on the executive committee of the Board of Governors, on the fee advisory committee, and on the Centraide committee. And then these are the committees at SMU that I sit on or chair. Some of these committees are recruiting for members at large, so if you're interested in these things, please feel free to apply. That'd be great. And yeah, I don't have much staff. Right now, I oversee the governance department, and I work with the Secretary General Abril. The president portfolio being a support portfolio mostly. I really do spend most of my time assisting other portfolios, and so I think that's pretty well reflected in this. Within the government department, under our amazing governance manager, Mikal, who's over there, we were able to organize the GA, and as well as just in general maintain governance operations at SMU. Finally, we're hiring for the grocery program coordinator, so if you're interested in getting that, please feel free to apply. The grocery program being a program started last year that provided groceries to students. So feel free to apply. It's a great program, and it's in need of somebody to guide it. I believe that's it for my projects. I am out of it. Projects. All right, so I think the big lines of my projects this year are really around reform of the governing documents. Essentially working with different people at SMU to go through and revise and simplify documents that people deal with, and just in general make the SMU environment more accessible. Honestly, the lack of quorum at the GA is something we want to tackle, and October coming in so fast and this first GA coming in so fast has really proved that we need to accelerate the pace on these changes and accelerate the pace on this work. And so I really do hope that for the next GA, we're able to encourage people to come more and increase accessibility and democracy at SMU. Other than that, I think the other important part of the projects is the interfaculty framework. So essentially working on interfaculty relations, and making sure to develop a better relationship and better coordination on campus, to increase efficiency on campus, to increase activities, increase life on campus. In general, just make all the student unions work together to be able to provide better for our membership. I think I'll call it there for my report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. And if anything comes to mind later on, please feel free to email me.
Okay, so next up is our 4 discussion items. And so we're going to be beginning by calling back up our Vice President of Student Life to discuss use and accessibility to campus space by students.
All right, can you hear me? Perfect. So discussion items in general are just we want to hear from students. And so if anyone has anything to add to these, just because we know these are the issues, these are some of the biggest issues right now for students on campus. So the one I'm presenting is about use and accessibility to campus space. So we, as the student society, only really have control over this building. And this building is still owned by McGill, so there are some restrictions on the space. But just in general, I know there's also a lot of difficulty in booking space both within this building just because of low availability, but like outside of this building just because of McGill's booking system or whatever regulations there are. And so if anyone has like any comments, even if it's like a frustration, even if it's an experience, or even any ideas that you'd like brought up to administration, that's something we're here to hear.
Okay, if anyone wishes to speak either on Zoom or in person, please feel free to line up at the microphone. Okay, yes, member, you have the floor.
Yeah, I have a question for Vice President Dagduki. I was wondering, because I find that the McGill reservation system for rooms is a bit frustrating and not user-friendly. So can we ask the Student Society to help us when we want to book space outside of the students, like of the university center? Or does it like only regard like how do we manage the two? How do we reserve those spaces?
Member Dakduki.
Thank you for the question. So like I said, is like we don't really have any control for anything outside of the building or anything to do with McGill. So McGill's reservation system, which remains a mystery to me in some ways as well, like it is a very confusing system that we're hoping to try and clarify. But right now, SMU can't do anything to help groups book in that system just because it's external to us. That's one thing I'm hoping to do is just get in contact with McGill and get an idea of the step-by-step process. We're already in the process of like clarifying the external events booking at McGill and talking to the person who deals with that and trying to outline it for student groups in a way that makes sense. But for internal bookings, that's like a web we have yet to untangle. But at the moment, yeah, there's nothing we can do with that so far.
Okay, at this point, are there any others wishing to speak? Please line up at the microphone or raise your hand on Zoom so that you can be called on. Remember, this is where you get to have a say in what goes on in the student society and have your voice heard, so I would encourage everyone to speak. Okay. I will give it a few seconds, and if no one goes up to the microphone or if no one wishes to speak on Zoom, then we will move on to the next discussion topic. Okay, in that case, we'll move on to our next discussion topic, presented by Member Gaither, or the Vice President External.
It's so quiet. This is just a point to address the Divest McGill campaign a little bit. Most people are probably aware of the campaign, and it's been around for about a decade on our campus now. And they've been fighting hard against the university to get or against the board to actually divest from fossil fuels. Is it better if I speak like this? Oh my God. Okay, I sound like, never mind. Essentially, what has happened recently is that the Divest McGill, those involved with the campaign directly, were able to give a presentation to the Board of Governors, and that presentation was on divestment, how it works, why divest, what other universities have divested, and why they've done it. The timeline for divestment, or excuse me, the timeline for the vote on whether or not to divest has been moved up from I don't know, it was like sort of far away, and now it's been moved up to December. And so we're looking at a potential situation where the board actually does divest. Like, I can't say that they will, but I'm saying that they might, because the vote is coming up. That is also to say that the face of climate organizing may change on campus. For a long time, it has been mainly Divest McGill, and Divest McGill is supported by external affairs, financially and with some other resources. And we used to have a second campaign called CJAM, Climate Justice Action McGill. However, that group has kind of lost its energy, lost its steam, and so what remains is really Divest McGill. And so as we move into like possibly a new phase of well, we're still in the climate crisis, but as we move possibly into a new phase of climate organizing at McGill, like we're inviting like a broader discussion on what that could look like. And so actually on Wednesday evening at, I believe it's 6 or 6:30, there will be a sort of discussion, information session hosted by Divest McGill, organizers from Divest McGill, and it's open to all. It will be at ACOL, which is the sort of sustainable environmental housing project just on University Street, so accessible if you come to campus a lot. And I would encourage anyone who's ever been interested in climate organizing or anything of the sort to go to that discussion and have your voice heard, because it will be really important to sort of shape the future of climate organizing. I'm happy to take questions or comments on this as well, but it was mostly just sort of an information point. You can find all of the information about the meeting itself on the Divest McGill Instagram. So, yeah.
Okay. Can you?
Hi, I'm member Nitu. Thank you so much. I just wanted to suggest or ask whether there was a system in place to bring about maybe all the presidents of clubs from diverse faculties that are related to sustainability, because there's so many events going on, and especially in management, there's a lot of sustainability action being made, and I think that by communicating between different faculties, that could create a bigger movement, or like the clubs could communicate different strategies or things that have worked for them that they can suggest to others. So I think that could be an interesting course of action. Thank you.
Okay, Member Gaither.
I guess to respond, like, certainly, I think that's a great idea. We can work on it. If you wanted to work on it together, we could do that. If it's just a suggestion, we'll see where we can go with it. Thanks.
Okay, at this point, if anyone else wishes to speak, please make a line at the microphone. Or on Zoom, if you wish to speak, please raise your hand. If there are no more speakers, then we will wait a tiny bit, and then we will move on to our final discussion item. Oh, yes. Member Dakduki?
Sorry, I just thought it was really an interesting point that was brought up, but I think it goes into a lot of things related to student groups, which is we do end up having a lot of student groups, even with like within faculty associations that are all kind of doing the same thing, but in different corners. And if you had any ideas for how to actually bring them all together, that would be amazing. Just because I know, like I said, it's other issues as well, and I think it's in general, just student engagement. I mean, we can talk about it later, but I think this is also an interesting discussion point if anyone wants to add to it. Not to like take away, but I think we can focus it on climate crisis actions as well.
Okay. Are there any others wishing to speak? Please make a line at the microphone. Or on Zoom, please raise your hand. Okay. If there are no more takers, then we'll move to our final discussion item. And do we have any member who wishes to begin the discussion? Yes, Member Gaither.
Can you hear me? Okay, I suppose another update. Just preparing my notes here. Another update on a different topic. The membership may have heard of the Let's Eat McGill campaign. They got very famous with their memes last year. I was involved with it for some time as well. And the whole sort of principle was like, the prices on campus are too high. We've all bought food on campus at some point probably, and all been like, what the fuck? Anyways, the point of this being to update you on sort of the what they're up to now and where they're going. Essentially, the Student Housing and Hospitality Services, or SHUSH, implemented a new pricing system called it's not all you can eat, it's like all you care to eat, but it's essentially like you pay one fare and you have entrance and can like eat continuously as long as you're there, but that's for one meal. However, like it still comes out to about or over $6,000 for the buffet style meal plan overall, which is exclusionary to low-income students and really like not affordable overall. Lunch on campus for a student buying a meal is often over $15, which is like sort of serious gouging. And so the Let's Eat McGill like campaign and organizing group is hoping to put pressure on the administration to subsidize the cafeteria costs and to change its policies around, my phone is bugging. Anyways, to change its policies around food so that we have a more sustainable food system on campus. Some places of inspiration to look at are University of British Columbia and their Sprouts program, or also Concordia and their sort of Concordia Food Coalition. So there will be more action to come. However, like this is a progressing campaign, just to let you know. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. At this point, if there are any others wishing to contribute to the discussion, either in person or on Zoom. Yes, Member Dakduki.
Yeah, I just want to say, because food insecurity is a big issue, that there has been progress through the creation of a new service called Snack. They're new this year. And part of what they do the main aspect of what they do is to provide free like grocery produce boxes to students in need of groceries, essentially. And the main thing I want to bring up is that they don't have a fee yet, and that will be passing at referendum. So I highly recommend that you tell all your friends to vote for it at referendum, because it's something that's extremely valuable to a lot of students, and they won't be able to operate without that financial support. And Midnight Kitchen also raised their fee last year, and their operations are doing so good. And just, yeah, if you're looking for a free vegan lunch, that's Thursdays at lunch. So our services are doing a great job, I think, to help alleviate that food insecurity.
Okay. Any other members wishing to speak, please line up at the microphone. Okay, if there are none wishing to speak at this point, are there any additions to the agenda that any members wish to make before we adjourn? Yeah, is that a raised placard back there?
Hi. Just a quick note before we adjourn. If you are a legislative counselor, can you just come up after we adjourn so that we can register your attendance? Just for the people in person, not on Zoom. Thank you.
Okay. At this point, if there are no further additions to the agenda, I will declare the meeting adjourned at 7:17 p.m. Thank you all for coming. Thank you especially to all of the staff for their hard work on this event. And yeah, I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your week, wonderful time with midterms, and we hope to see you again either at one of our other legislative meetings or at the General Assembly in the spring or the winter. All right, thank you all.